think the way that we look at what the implications will be from this election is almost the way you would look at a brand. And whoever gets elected and whatever their policies are going to be synonymous with the UK brand. So I think it is important because we'll all be in kind of a watch and see mode to see how is this going to affect things like trade and foreign policy and the exchange rate from the macro to the micro. So I think it is important in that regard.
I've noticed a lot that for the first time in a while, there's a little more attention on the personalities of your candidates and some of their just human traits, whereas it's usually a little bit more policy focused. That's not uncommon in US politics. So it'll be interesting to see if any of that actually has legs, as we say, and actually takes off and has an impact on who wins. And I think that it'll be interesting to see if there is a lot of traction in the UK and the United States on this protectionism side of politics, this kind of hunker down, and there's so many threats and we don't want to spend any more money and fighting wars overseas, and there's a lot of chatter about that in our politics and I think in your politics as well. And so there's an engagement and then there's a retraction, and we'll see where people land. I can assure you that certainly in Washington, D.C., New York, LA, some of the major hubs, people are watching very, very closely. Not only on the foreign policy, national security front with all of the challenges that are going on, from terrorism to cybersecurity, but also, just economic security overall. I mean, we have a special partnership on many levels, and I think Wall Street is watching, and they really want to know whether or not the UK will end up in a more left of center, a more right of center, or far right, far left type of place. So we have our eyes on it.
Well, I think it's a very important election because we are at a point where actually people will be able soon in the UK to decide whether they want to stay or leave. So this is a very important election because from the continent, we will have a clearer view of where we think British people want to go next. So this is a pretty important one. And to be honest, I believe that on the continent, we are a bit fed up with this hesitation from the UK. Are you really Europeans? Do you want to be part of the whole EU idea or not? So clearly, I think this is probably the election where we will finally know, okay, what's about to happen? Are they in or are they out?
He's been criticized internally in the UK for that decision of his, including by people like Tony Blair. I don't think the issue has played out as strongly outside of the UK. In fact, I know that some European leaders are kind of okay with the decision for the UK to take a point of view on whether it still wants to be a member of the EU or not. And one of the reasons for that is that the subjects on which David Cameron focused on in terms of why the UK should or shouldn't be part of the European Union go to the core of what the Union is about, one of which being the free movement of labour. And if a European leader is seen to be negotiating on this or reaching some sort of a consensus, then they would be threatening the cohesion of the Union as such.